Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So we had a record-breaking week last week, but not in a good way. So let's look at the numbers. In Georgetown last week, we had 11 sales, which is a normal week for Georgetown. I mean, that is the silver lining to what I'm going to talk about. Sales have not completely died off. We are still seeing some buyer activity, so that is good. The bad news that we're looking at today is our inventory levels. So last week in Georgetown, we had 20 new listings. 20 plus new listings in a week is a huge week for Georgetown. And if we continue to see this, it's gonna be really bad. So 20 new listings, you know what that means? Our inventory is going to be rising. In Acton last week, we had 1 sale and 4 new listings. So there you go, inventory rising. Glen Williams had 1 sale and 1 new listing. Limehouse had no sales and 1 new listing. And the rural market had 1 sale and 5 new listings. So you can sort of get this trend we're going with here, lots of new listings. When we're looking at the new listings this week, so we had 31 new listings in total. Again, a huge week for Halton Hills. 13 of them were under $1 million, and then the far majority of them, so 18 of the 31 were over that $1 million mark. And within that, there was even 3 properties over the $2 million mark. So we are seeing some high ticket properties coming on, not as much in the lower price points, but again, not much is moving across the board. We did see our sales sort of split in half this week. Half of them were below $1 million, half of them were above $1 million, but overall, not great news for those sellers of the high ticket price point. And we see this often when our inventory gets saturated, those higher price points really feel it. And that is definitely the case this week. When we look at properties that adjusted and came off the market, changed their prices, etc., there was only 15 properties this week. So we're not seeing a lot of properties terminating and coming off the market, which is really what we need to see to keep our inventory down. We only had 6 properties come off the market this week. That is not a lot of properties, and that's definitely not going to make an impact on our inventory. We had 6 people that relisted at a lower price. 2 people actually tried offer nights, and I can just tell you that they don't work right now, basically. And we had them relist at higher prices, and then 1 person relisted at the same price. So the real conversation this week is our inventory levels. And I started this off by saying that it was a record-breaking week, and this is where we're gonna talk about it. So we officially are at our highest inventory ever. We are at 232 active listings. Prior to this, we got to 230 last October. So 232 is the highest I've ever seen. So and the worst part is I don't think it's stopping. So I remember last year talking about is it gonna hit 250? That seems insane, but this actually could be the market where we feel it hit 250. So right now, 232, highest available inventory ever in Halton Hills. Georgetown this week hasn't quite hit their max, but they're climbing. So they went from 132 to 138 active listings. So lots of new stuff coming up in Georgetown, and I suspect in the next week or 2, we will bypass that 140, which was our record previously. So we're up to 138 this week. Our price points, under 800,000 is down slightly to 14. So again, our lower stuff seems to always trickle and move. 800 to $1 million is up from 31 to 33 active listings, really high for this price point. But here's another record breaker. So 1 to 1.5 million. Since I've been looking at the numbers this way, we have never hit 60 active listings in that pocket, but this week we did. So we are up from 57 to 60 active listings between 1 and 1.5 million. So you can imagine the buyers in that price point have a ton of options. It is very difficult to sell your house in that pocket. You need to be more flexible, and this is where we start to see prices soften. 1.5 million plus is also up from 29 to 31 active listings. It is very hard to sell a house in this pocket. We do not see a lot transact. We'll see 1 or 2 a month, sort of over that 1.5 in Georgetown, but really not a lot of properties move. So again, we should see prices soften in that higher ticket price point as well. In Acton this week, we are up from 24 to 27, so our inventory is still down from where we were through the summer. We were in the 30s, but it is climbing, and that is not great news for Acton. Glen Williams remained the same at 8. Limehouse is up from 7 to 8 active listings as well. So speaking of another record, the rural market is up from 48 to 51 active listings. I have never seen over 50 active listings in the rural market. Even the weeks when we were seeing in the 40s, like these are numbers we never see in the rural market. So 51 active listings in the rural market is crazy. And with inventory sitting where it's at in Georgetown right now, like it is almost near impossible to be selling a rural property right now. So prices inevitably are gonna have to come down. And I do imagine in the coming months, again, we'll probably see it through November and December, we are gonna see a mass exodus from the market because it is not gonna be a good time. If you are a buyer, you really need to be thinking about getting your ducks in a row so you can pull the trigger on buying something. In the next 6 weeks, there are going to be some very good deals to have. We know we're going into a market where our interest rates are dropping, and that means likely next year we are gonna see prices climb. So I know we're sitting in the highest inventory that we've ever seen. And this is where as a buyer, it's in your favor, but don't think that like prices are going to tank by like 20%. We've already seen that huge slash. We're gonna see things soften. We might see 5 to 10%, but we're not gonna see it plummet, especially with interest rates going down. So this is my sort of call out to buyers. We're gonna get to this time next year and you're gonna regret not buying some of these products that are on the market. Picking up a Delrex area detached home for $850 is an amazing option because we know when interest rates go down, those are $1 million to $1.1 million products easily. And so just be thinking about that if you are a buyer right now. As a seller, you need to be taking any offer that you can get very seriously. There are not a ton of buyers out on the market. We only had 14 sales this week compared to 31 new listings. Like that's a huge gap. And so if you have a buyer interested in your property, you need to work with them and see what you can get out of it. So really interesting market. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen. The fall markets the last 2 years have been horrible, and I think that's going to be the case this year. I do think we'll feel the same thing. November to December, we'll feel an exodus off of the market and things will sort of reset in the new year. But for right now, there are some deals to be had, and there is a boatload of options if you are a buyer. So I will be back next week. Have a great week, everyone.